All right, so get this. We're diving into a story that's part courtroom drama and part celebrity whirlwind.
It's the A$AP Rocky verdict.
Exactly, and it really did feel like a movie ending.
Oh, it totally did. Like, remember that image of him jumping into Rihanna's arms after the not guilty was announced?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just like a legal win. It was pure emotion.
Right.
Playing out on a global stage.
It was a huge story, and we've got a stack of articles and photos here from the Associated Press covering the trial itself, all the reactions, the fallout. So what we're going to do in this deep dive is really get into the nitty-gritty of the arguments,
Absolutely.
understand the evidence, and then what this means for A$AP going forward.
Yeah, because I think sometimes people forget A$AP Rocky is not just like some name in the news cycle.
Yeah.
This is a global figure in music and fashion.
Oh, absolutely.
Partner to Rihanna.
Right.
Facing 2 felony counts of assault with a firearm, which could have meant over 2 decades behind bars.
Oh, yeah, this was not
These weren't
small thing.
no small charges. Yeah.
And it all goes back to this incident in November 2021, right in Hollywood.
Right.
So what did the prosecution say happened that night?
So the prosecution claimed that A$AP Rocky and his former friend A$AP Relly got into it,
Okay.
like a heated argument, and that at some point during that argument, Rocky allegedly fired a gun in Relly's direction. Now, Relly himself claimed that he was actually shot at.
Oh, wow.
But the details of what happened are kind of murky.
So how did the defense try to counter that narrative?
Well, the defense argued that the whole thing was blown out of proportion.
Okay.
They claim that the gun wasn't even a real firearm, it was a prop gun.
Oh,
The
interesting.
kind that they use in music videos.
Right.
And that it was only firing blanks, and their core argument was that A$AP was acting in self-defense.
So essentially 2 completely different versions
Completely different stories.
of what happened that night.
Yeah.
Did he offer any evidence for the self-defense?
Well, these sources don't give us a full breakdown of the evidence, but the self-defense claim hinges on whether A$AP Rocky genuinely felt threatened enough to use force, even if it was with a prop gun.
Right.
With blanks.
Right.
And as you said, accounts from that night were conflicting, so it really came down to who did the jury believe?
And one thing that really stood out to me was that he could have taken a plea deal,
He could have.
which would have meant a shorter sentence, right?
Right, a plea deal is essentially a bargain.
Right.
Where the defendant agrees to plead guilty to a less serious charge in exchange for a lighter sentence. It's a way to avoid the risk of going to trial.
But he said, no, I'm going to fight this.
He did.
And that's a big gamble when so much is on the line.
It is a big gamble. He was essentially saying, I believe in my innocence enough to risk potentially worse consequences. It also speaks to the pressure and scrutiny that celebrities face. Imagine having your life dissected by a media with constant public opinion weighing in.
And then there's the Rihanna factor.
Yeah.
She was at the trial. She even brought their 2 sons to the courtroom at one point. What impact did that have on the case?
That's a great point. And the prosecution actually argued that her presence might sway the jury.
Oh, really?
That it was a potential attempt to influence the outcome. So it raises this tricky question about the role of celebrity in a high-profile trial.
Right.
Was she just there to support her partner, or was it calculated to sway public opinion?
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but it adds another layer of complexity to the whole thing.
Absolutely. It's hard to know how to feel about that.
It is.
Because on one hand, you got someone's right to a fair trial.
Right.
But then this huge spotlight shining on everything.
Absolutely.
Did the article say anything about how the jury might have perceived it?
Unfortunately, no, we don't have insights into the jury's thoughts, but it's safe to say that Rihanna's presence fueled the media coverage.
Oh, yeah.
And public discussion. I mean, just imagine global icon sitting in the courtroom supporting her partner who's facing serious charges.
Yeah.
That's a story that writes itself.
It does. And then after all that, the jury deliberated for only 3 hours.
Right.
3 hours, and then boom, not guilty on both counts.
Not guilty. What do you make of that quick decision?
I mean, it seems like they were pretty confident.
Yeah, it does suggest that they were pretty confident in their decision. Maybe they found some holes in the prosecution's case or were really swayed by the defense. Who knows?
Well, so A$AP walks free, and that obviously has major implications for his career. He's headlining Rolling Loud, co-chairing the Met Gala, even starring in a Spike Lee film.
Wow.
Alongside Denzel Washington. Talk about a comeback.
That's a comeback story for sure. And think about it. If he was found guilty, all those opportunities would have been gone.
Right.
Or at least really uncertain. He could have faced serious limitations on his freedom. This verdict clears the path for him to move forward.
It does, but I do wonder how this whole ordeal might have affected him personally.
Yeah.
Creatively. Could it shape his music or his artistic vision?
It's a great question, and I think it's highly likely we see artists drawing on their life experiences all the time,
Yeah.
especially difficult ones. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hear echoes of this trial in his future work.
This case wasn't just about AAP, though, was it?
No, it wasn't. It raised bigger questions about law and society.
Like what?
Well, it put a spotlight on self-defense, which is always complicated.
Yeah,
I mean, the jury had to decide if his actions were justified,
right,
even if the gun wasn't real.
right.
And that's not an easy decision.
It also highlights how important witness testimony is.
Absolutely. The prosecution built its entire case on those accounts,
Yeah.
and the defense really went after their credibility.
It makes you think how crucial it is for juries to really examine those testimonies.
Yeah, looking for any inconsistencies or biases.
And we can't forget the whole public scrutiny
Well,
aspect.
yeah, that's a huge factor. Every little detail is analyzed and debated endlessly in the media.
Right.
That level of attention can really sway public opinion and maybe even have an impact on the trial itself.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure
It is a lot of pressure.
for everyone involved.
Yeah,
But it's a good reminder that even though celebrities seem larger than life,
right.
they're still subject to the same legal system.
They are.
And these cases can spark important
They
conversations
do.
about things that affect us all.
This deep dive has really highlighted some key takeaways.
Yeah.
The verdict shows just how complicated self-defense cases can be,
Right.
how tough it is to figure out who's telling the truth,
Yeah,
and then the pressure of the public eye in these high-profile cases.
absolutely. What really gets to me is that he could have taken that plea deal
Yeah,
and potentially avoided a long sentence, but he chose to fight,
he did.
putting his faith in the system, maintaining his innocence. What does that say about him?
That's the question we'll leave you with today.
I mean, it's a question about someone's character,
It really is.
their beliefs,
Yeah.
their willingness to take a stand, even when things are against them.
And the consequences of that decision are big.
They are.
It's not just about Aap personally. It affects his family, his career, his fans, even the public's view of the justice system.
Right. It's a big deal. And this whole case has been a roller coaster, hasn't it?
It has.
Legal battles, conflicting accounts, celebrities.
Yeah, and those big questions about
Yes,
justice.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, behind all the headlines,
Right.
the courtroom drama,
Yeah.
these are real people
They are.
with real lives.
Whose lives are changed by these decisions.
And for AAP Rocky, this verdict marks a new chapter, for sure.
Absolutely.
So as he goes forward with his life, his career,
Right.
I wonder how this will shape him. Will it show up in his music?
Yeah, will we see it?
You know, his outlook on life?
Yeah, how will it affect his place in culture?
Only time will tell, I guess.
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this was a defining moment.
Oh, yeah,
One that'll stay with him.
it will. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the AAP Rocky verdict. I know it was complicated,
It was.
but hopefully you've got a better sense of what happened.
Yeah,
Maybe some new questions to think about?
some food for thought.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring
Keep diving deep.
into the stories that shape our world.